Welcome back to the world of Nosy and Black Bob. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Napoleon Total War. Let's continue this. Okay, so I think we're ready to end the turn here. Dry docks in Waterford, Ireland, and ordnance factory in England. Great, and we have a 74 gun ship of the line Navy. Okay, so that's our main force. Come over here with it. 338s there.
Any orders?
Let's give
Aye, sir.
that Nelson. The Kaara. Yes, that's how you say that. That was our capture. We'll give that over to this fleet.
Aye, sir.
Keep him reasonably strong. Get over here to this port now. Oh, that noise again. Okay.
Aye, aye, sir.
Seems to be associated with that port.
Orders received and understood. Destination ahoy!
Okay, got rid of that noise. That's good. Gotta go back there. And we want to keep recruiting up. Or building, I should say, really, but... HMS Elephant. HMS Elephant is a ship of the line with an impressive broadside at close range. Like all ships of the line, the HMS Elephant is not really handy, being slow. Oh, I think this is the one that they, experimented with, but changed, all the guns to, carronades. The short, stubby, close-range guns. Being slow and unimpressive to help. However, secondary weight of broadside that can be both delivered and withstand the important wash. Built on the river Humber. Fast of the 12, third rate, 74. Oh no, I don't think this is that. We'll build one of these. No, it's not the carronade one. Okay. Now, we're going to stay off the continent until we get riflemen. How are we doing down here? Okay, one more turn. Until that is fixed, repaired, rebuilt. Okay, yes. That we are doing so we can recruit Highlanders. Can do light foot now, which are good. Drill school, rifles, unlocks recruitment of rifles. We have to get through. Oh, shoot, am I making wrong choices here? Oh, we should be doing this one instead. Oh, well, it'll just be a bit of a delay. Let's finish this first. top gallants make our navy. Navy's important too. But we can do fleet arsenal. Can't afford, can't afford. If we head out here and get this Vestrian state plus 200 wealth to the region, we already have that, which is 100, so it's 100 more. That's 27 turns specifically to place or turn a profit. Yeah, I think we'll do that though. No, I don't think we will. Changing my mind. Okay, let's go with that. And we'll come out here.
On our way, Captain.
We'll come and escort or join up or whatever.
Ready and waiting.
And I think we'll come down here. Yeah, let's build a couple of cheap guys. Quickly. Help us control down in the Mediterranean. Okay. Really would love to be able to play music without copyright strikes. This sort of boring piano here. We'd be doing Over the Hills and Far Away.
Watching.
Oh, there'd be others, but that would be high on the repeat. There's different versions of it. I would love to be able to do, but okay, so Merchant House Ireland, Musket Manufacturing Birmingham, and Gibraltar Principles.
Fleet ready. Orders received and understood. Aye, sir. Reef sails. Any orders? Set sail. Jump to it and look lively. Ship's orders.
We had that one fleet sunk. Yeah. Wish we lost a really good admiral or an admiral there. Okay. Good. This should be a fairly powerful and effective fleet. I don't think there's any. He's still moving. spy maybe who damage things in Gibraltar.
Seeking cover.
Okay, no, 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 no.
All hands on deck.
Uh-oh, they're coming after me here. Oh, well, he's weak, but yeah, run away. No
Reverse
point.
course.
We'll smash you when we get our turn here.
Destination
Uh-oh.
ahoy.
Well, maybe we can't run away effectively. Should have combined the fleets. Well, let's experiment with this. Complete experimental. Been a long, long time since I've done any naval battles with these guys.
The naval maneuver compass, used for fine-tuning ship orders, is at the center of the battle control panel. The 3 arrows within its top half will cause your vessel to sail straight ahead, or turn left, or right. The sail status icon in the center of the lower half indicates whether you are in full sail, half sail, battle, or furl sail. The sails can be adjusted up or down with the plus and minus buttons to either side of the sail status icon.
Okay.
Damaged ships can repair themselves during battle. Unless the damage is too great, you can press the repair button in the bottom right of the screen to task the crew with fixing the problem. Ordering repairs to a ship will stop them from being able to carry out other tasks and leave them vulnerable to attack. Once a ship is carrying out repairs, giving an order to carry out any other actions will cancel that order.
We have top gallant set here for most of the ships. Wind's coming this way. And I like this. We want to cross in front of them, not them in front of us. I think they're on this fire at will, highlighted. Well, they've managed to cross in front of us. Other side. Good shooting there, guys. Probably too good on most people's parts. They're moving awfully fast. Now bring our broadsides to bear against them again as they come along. Yeah, concentrate on that first ship. That looks good as they come. They've got the weather gauge, meaning they can pull off whenever they want to, but we can't. So they're on the better side of things. Hopefully like that. Just I don't know what the hell they're doing. That was a stupid move. I would have cut in front. Again, maybe they know something I don't. Okay, now swing this way. Okay, swing this way. Our other broadside on them. I don't know how effective that'll be. We don't want to mask our own broadsides. You cut in front. Okay, good. Good hit. This one looks like it's about ready to sink. Maybe not. I don't know, it just looks low in the water.
One of your captains has broken off and runs in the face of the enemy, ignoring all your signals. There is still a chance. This ship is sailing into a headwind, so she is only able to make a slow progress on her current heading. Zigzagging back and forth across the wind helps to improve speed and makes one less vulnerable to enemy fire, whilst the frequent turns required present more firing opportunities.
Quite honestly, I'm not. I know this guy's real beat up, I guess, but quite honestly, not sure who's. Doing better or worse here. Look like some good hits there. Swing for the other broadside.
The enemy captain has hauled down his colors to you, surrendering his ship. Once the battle is over, a prize crew will be sent aboard to take possession of her. Until then, she will stay where she is, taking no further part in this battle.
Yeah, we can end battle. We weren't looking for heroic victory. Wow, did pretty well there, didn't I? Good.
We are victorious!
Did we not capture units? Okay, well, I guess... Oh, maybe we needed to stay with that. Oh, they lost, killed, captured. Oh well. Well, okay.
Orders, Captain.
Let's head back and repair. But at least we took them out.
Awaiting further orders.
Repair. Repair. And repair. Okay, now. Don't know if I should do that again with somebody like Nelson. Hopefully the AI is
Jump to it and look
reasonably
lively.
well simulating a good commander. So that maybe my too much trust in the AI, I don't know.
Destination
Oh,
ahoy.
where's our spy? Let's keep him moving in this direction.
Secrecy, my watchword.
Oh, there's a Spanish army.
I'll wait for your command. The night is my friend.
Well, let's come back up here.
Watching.
Great arsenal, better artillery. Yeah. Let's do that. Naval recruit. recruitment, good. And they're gonna have another merchant vessel. Queued up for another couple of light ones. Well, that looks good. Okay, top gallons. That will make ships sail much better. Great estates out in Ireland, some more food. For a larger population. A sloop and another merchant vessel. Okay. This navy here. Well, we handled that last Spanish group. A fleet, I should say. Hardly a fleet, but waiting
Set
force.
sail. Jump to it and look lively.
Now we'll be stronger. What these guys will be doing is they're coming down this way to take on the Batavians, the Dutch.
Where to, Captain? Set sail. Jump to it and look lively. Any orders?
Yes, path blocked, but we're going to attack
Davy
them.
Jones awaits the scurvy dogs.
And a fleet. Okay. Don't know if I can catch them. Don't think I can. So,
Yes, Captain.
a little bit of a tactical error. Maybe I should have just come in nearby and then hit them next turn. Another sloop. Now they have 38 and a couple of. We'll have a couple of sloops, should say. Yeah, recruitment down here would be helpful. Okay. Let's get Nosy out of there and get him into the field here.
Anything more? Sir, your orders?
Okay, his army is just regular King's German Legion. Don't know if we'll be able to recruit more of these guys. Okay, the King's German Legion. I know many of you are really good history people, and I really do, trust me, I know that. But I recently, literally just days ago, found for the first time Philomena Kunt. Kunt? C-U-N-K. It's a character on, I guess, I forget what, on the BBC or something, in which she plays a sort of a modern person. Now, like I said before, I briefly lived in Britain. I consider not quite 6 months, but there for a while, and traveled there many times, and still consume a fair amount of British media. But that doesn't mean I'm in touch with the culture. But I get a fair amount of references and some of the jokes and whatnot. Some of the stuff goes over my head, especially when they start mentioning footballers' names or something like that. I have no clue as to who these people are. But recently found her, and her what is it? Her Wonders, and she's doing a new show. And that's quite honestly how I really think. She's the British version. How a great bulk of humanity is. in all countries, everywhere. They're just basically ignorant. And that's how I mean it, ignorant. And so, you know, I'm at times very much concerned about, you know, what I'm saying and how much people know about the topic. So please excuse this. And I could say pandering to my eyes. I'm sure not you who are watching it. And I really do believe a lot of you are very historically aware of things. But for a long time, England had English kings. And then they had a War of Roses, in which roses fought each other. If you watch her latest series about the history of England. But, excuse me, I gotta drink something. So, and they sort of killed off a lot of the possible kings in the Wars of the Roses, Richard III and all that stuff, and basically comes to what we today call the Tudor monarchy. And eventually under Queen Elizabeth I, it dies out. So they go, oh, well, we don't have any more English kings. Not English, you know, like you know, I mean, they got really down that they had King Queen Elizabeth, you know, so that you know, that they had to even go to that right, having King Queen Elizabeth. Yes, I'm using some of this stuff. I'm just totally fascinated by it right now. And so they went to, well, you know, if we can't get an English king or even an English king queen, let's get somebody who, you know, almost speaks clear English. And so they got Scottish kings, the Stuarts. And they brought them down to be the kings of England. So, because they knew they needed a king. Well, as you may know, I'm very fond of the Stuart monarchy. Doesn't mean it's perfect, doesn't mean it you won't find flaws in it. Well, we'll find flaws in just about any government. But this was an age of religious intolerance. And the Stuarts, although, well, traditionally have been Catholic, James I of England, just to keep it sort of straight, was, as a very young child, not maybe a baby, but very young child, was taken away from her mother, who was a Catholic, and raised as a Protestant. So he's a Protestant monarch and acceptable to the Church of England. Well, we could talk about a lot of history, but then the Stuart monarchy, combination of things, marries for diplomatic alliances, marries Catholic queens, and because of the Civil War, is forced out of Britain, and particularly James. They keep the excuse me, the oldest son in Britain, fighting as part of the English Civil War, and as a safety measure, they moved James, the younger brother, to France to be raised there by his Catholic mother. So he turns basically eventually to be you know, an open Catholic and converts. Well, the Protestant English don't like this. The Protestant English fear that James is going to try to institute Catholicism. Now, I got to remember, Britain at this time, like many countries in Europe, still have a state religion, and they feared that he was. I'm sure he would have, and I've read a lot about these people. I'm sure that he would love Britain to return to Catholicism, that he thought it was the proper religion. But I also believe that he wasn't going to impose it by force. Yes, power can go to anybody's head. Yes, had he gotten too dictatorial or too powerful, and kings at this time weren't always very dictatorial. You can look at Charles the Second. Yeah, he may have not had lots of parliaments, but he wasn't running around being a dictator either. Sort of just letting the country do its own thing. And I getting a little commentary. People often are, we're for the Roundheads. They were for Parliament. We're parliamentarians against the autocratic authority of the king. Okay, that's one way to look at the English Civil War. But there's another way to look at the English Civil War. Religious authoritarianism on one side, and general liberty on the other side. Now, the Royalists believed in general liberty, but they may not believe in the primacy of asking the people of what the government should do. Remember, there's a difference between what the government should do and what individuals can or can't do, okay? So the monarchists generally believed, and again, we can find all kinds of writers and exemptions to that, but the monarchists in the English Civil War believed that generally the people can do what they want, but the government is going to be run by the king. Where the parliamentarians believed that they should tell everybody how to rule, or how to live. If you look at Cromwell's killjoy, wanting to ban Christmas, wanting to ban all holidays, wanting to, anything fun, let's get rid of it. They were the sort of Puritans from hell. And so you can look at the constant repression under parliamentary rule. Now, of course, the parliamentarians that a lot of modern-day leftists that I've seen and talked about in Britain, that they're for the parliament, they're for the parliament. Oh, yeah, and they're for the people and the parliament, and that's how they're on their side. Okay, how many parliamentary elections did the parliamentarians call once they got in power? We can excuse them not calling parliamentary elections during the Civil War because there was, a civil war going on, and election results might not be fair, open, whatever, even in the parts that they control. But once they have peace, how many elections did the parliamentarians call? Oh, that would be 0. So you were elected to Parliament under Charles the First. You then stay in Parliament. If you disagree with the parliamentarian party, you are kicked out of Parliament. So all the royalists, even after the Civil War is over, the royalist members of Parliament were never allowed back to sit in Parliament. And even the parliamentarian members of Parliament who disagreed with Cromwell were kicked out of Parliament. That's why they called it the Rump Parliament. It was the rump, what was left of Parliament, and it dwindled and dwindled from deaths, just natural causes as well as other deaths, and people being kicked out of Parliament, until it was almost nothing left. Cromwell declares himself a dictator of the Commonwealth of England, Britain, they specified just the term, but of the Commonwealth, he was the dictator, the parliamentarians' dictator under Cromwell. Oh yes, and the successor to Cromwell was his son. Sounds like the parliamentarians set up a monarchy in all but name. So, and no new callings of Parliament. So it really isn't royalists versus parliamentarians as propaganda at the time and modern propaganda want to make out, but liberty versus religious theocracy and authoritarianism. my a little before this time period. Okay, so the Stuarts, and now James is the seconds of England, trying to keep this simple. First marriage is to a Protestant woman, and his two first daughters that make it to adulthood are raised in the Protestant church, and so they're fine. Wife number one dies, gets married again. He then has a son, and who everyone presumes is going to be raised a Catholic because he's now an open Catholic, where before he wasn't an open Catholic when he first gets married and this stuff. And his wife's a Catholic, so they presume that the son is going to be married or raised Catholic. So in this era of religious intolerance, they get rid, and I know we're getting a long ways here, but some of you like my history. I don't know if this is a rant. Well, there's rant elements to it. History talks. So they get rid of him. Well, that's a bit simplistic, but the Dutch invade. Many, I wouldn't say most, but many of the Protestants are fearful of Catholic rule in this age of intolerance. So, and James's eldest daughter marries William of Orange, who is also related by blood himself to James. So it's a family squabble, really, in a way. So they kick out James, and so they take over, and they have no children that make it to become queen or king. And so William and Mary eventually die off. Then they go to the other Stuart daughter, who's a Protestant, and who's Queen Anne, who's married off to the King of Denmark. So they bring her in. Again, she has several children. One does make I think the 20-something maybe before he dies. Even the people who are the highest level of society and who have the best doctors and food and access to healthcare, it's a precarious life back then. So they die off. So then they're looking around, and they got to find a Protestant, because they've had under William that the King of England or the Queen has to be a Protestant. So they look around. They jump past, I believe it's like 52 or 54 people in line of succession, including the king's son, who's now James III, and get the Elector of Hanover. Well, not really the Elector of Hanover, but the son of the Elector of Hanover, who eventually becomes the Elector of Hanover. But gets him in. I was sort of saying her because I was thinking of his mother, Sophia, who was sort of hanging around and doing all this stuff. So they get a German king. So they go from English kings to Scottish kings to German kings. So the German king is the Elector of Hanover. And so Britain is ruled, and now by 1805, they've effectively lost their Hanoverian possessions. Napoleon has, marched around, but there are a number of exiles, because you have the king's Hanoverian army, which basically gets out and they get shipped out to Britain. And there is, during this whole period, continued secret recruitment of Hanoverians, of Germans, for the King's German Legion, to fight for the Elector of Hanover. That's getting a long way through the weeds of how do you get a German king to have German soldiers fighting for Britain. And on that note, we're going to end this episode. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos, if you would. It does help the channel. And, of course, I would love to hear your questions, comments, suggestions, ideas. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Love to see you around more often.